Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. There is new technology in service drives today, and it is driving not only the servicing of vehicles, but also the merchandising and inspection of vehicles that are becoming available to the dealership. This is the Comprehensive Vehicle Inspection Panel. It is hosted by UVEYE, and I would like to welcome our host, Jim Bayline from UVEYE, to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Jim, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Ted. Excited to be back. Awesome panel that you put together. So I'm really excited for the conversation.
Well, Jim, I think you played a big part in that as well. And if it's okay, I'm going to introduce the panelists, some who are no stranger to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, including Gino Walsh from the Cavalli Automotive Group in Florida. Gino, welcome back to the event.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time coming to have Tom Drzezinski from West Her Automotive Group back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Tom, you were with us in some of the early days. Welcome back to the event.
Thank you. Yeah, great to be here.
Wonderful to have you. Mark Mickens, you made great strides with all that you do on the mobile side. Big friend of the event. Mark, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hey, thanks, Ted. It's great to be here.
Yep, good to have you, my friend. Bill Demery. Bill is from the Tom Wood Automotive Group. Tom, welcome back to the event.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep, Bill, always super valuable information. Sean Butler, University Automotive Group, Bristol Honda, welcome back to the event.
Thank you, Ted. Happy to be here. It's a pretty esteemed panel here. Thank you.
Yeah, I see that. And Sean Parrott from Mercedes-Benz of Farmington, part of the Schomp Automotive Group, and also a best practice winner, as are some others on the panel. Sean, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Oh, thank you. I'm honored to be here with everyone.
And Lauren Paddock from Paddock Chevrolet in Buffalo, New York. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. All right. So with that, let me get started, everybody, if I may. Gino, and I'll start with you over at Cavalli. What does your organization do to comprehensively inspect vehicles, incoming vehicles, in terms of time and quality control as well?
Well, there's a couple different ways in which we do it, but first and foremost, you have to have a plan. Our plan specifically is our SOP related to used car purchases, trade-ins, and we bracket it out for reconditioning purposes based upon the selling price of the car. So we have a little bit of a different threshold for a vehicle that, say, sells under $10,000 versus a vehicle that sells over $50,000. And I think the biggest thing for you when you're putting together any of these comprehensive vehicle inspections is that you have to have that proper communication of your standard operating procedure and what car is going to make it and what car is not going to make it. And that starts with the leader that's in the store, and usually that starts with the general manager. As far as technology is concerned, we treat every single car that goes through the service lane like they're a customer pay customer. And our internal customers are probably our best customers possible. So we bring those cars in, whether it's Monday morning from all the trades that came in over the weekend, or it's a car that just came off the truck from an auction, and we bring it right into the lane. And we will do a full multi-point inspection by using, one of the tools we use is Update Promise. And then we also use Car Film App to communicate the videos back and forth to the person who's ultimately in charge of the reconditioning approvals.
I see. Okay. Mark Mickens, what about yourself? We see a lot of vehicles coming in, Mark, not just into service, but on the used car side as well.
Yeah, I'm similar to Gino. We adopted the same principle of using technology. We use My Karma. It's been really good for us on the retail side, and with our regular customers, video MPI. And when we were tasked with really almost doubling our used car output, the best way to get the estimates and everything we needed to do to the reconditioning management team was to use the video technology that we had with My Karma, as well as our MPI check sheets and baking the estimate right into My Karma. We also did that because of the way we were going to market to buy cars. In the past we were trade in, lease return, our customers, our history, to buying whatever car we could possibly find, and not having a baseline for that car or the vehicle's history. So doing a video MPI check. The great thing about My Karma is once you VIN that vehicle into My Karma, it lives with it until forever. And when the customer takes possession of the car, that we can go back a year later and then we'll have that new history. It's like going to a new doctor. So we have a history on it. Okay. And that getting the video MPIs to our reconditioning team also cut down on the time us waiting to get an approval back on an estimate. And and it's also accountability and transparency in that process also, which has always been one of the biggest difficulties between a sales and service department. So having a live video from one of our technicians kind of cleans that up.
I like that, Mark. Tom, what about you over at West Her? I know you've got a lot of stores in a lot of locations. What about West Her?
Yes, sir. Well, we did sold about 27,000 used cars last year. And as Gino and Mark, had mentioned, a lot of it's really about process, defining that process, understanding what you will and will not accept, and then clearly communicating that to your team. We even went as far as the system that we use for the multi-point inspections. We had the used car inspection sheet custom built for us. So it's exactly the things that we want. It's a forced march. It's not a default to green. Technician has to check each one of those. The onset of video and photo in conjunction with that has been a big part of that as well. I think every time you put one of those used cars out there, all of us, the businesses that we're in, that's our name on those vehicles. If something happens, you miss something important, you miss a massive repair, a safety issue, a frame issue, those things can do damage to a reputation that's just not repairable.
And Tom, with what we've seen happen in the used car market, especially in the last year, has this really, changed the game, in terms of, being able to accurately inspect those vehicles and to have these processes in place?
It really has, because not only do you have to do it accurately, you've got to be able to do it accurately and quickly. You've got a very quick expected turnaround for your used car department. And as Mark mentioned, these are some of our best customers. We have to take care of our used car teams on the used car departments. Again, accurate, quickly.
Bill, over at Tom Wood, tell us what you're doing.
Well, I really kind of ditto everything everybody just said. We do the same thing. We use technology. We do the videos. We do walk around media. Again, used cars has to be our number one customer to get the vehicles through the shop. The only thing I wish we had is like a tunnel my car could go underneath, like an MRI of it, that we could do an MRI of the vehicle next.
You know what? I think, Bill, that you can. Jim, you've got some technology like that over at UVEYE, do you not? And you're on mute, Jim.
Sorry about that, Ted. We just launched.
Hold on. Let me ask the question again so we get it clean.
Yeah.
Jim, you got some technology like that over at UVEYE, do you not?
We do, yes. We're really excited. We just launched Atlas Lite, which is a fully automated exterior inspection system. And essentially, it's sort of what Bill just described. As you drive the car through, it's going to detect dings, dents, and scratches down to 0.5 millimeter accuracy in about 20 seconds or less. So really fast, really accurate. And there's a merchandising component to it as well. As it passes through, we capture a ton of merchandising quality photos, so you can grab those, push those to Viato or your inventory management system, and have that car merchandised, almost in real time.
That's pretty amazing. Some of the technology that's out there. Sean Butler over at the University Auto Group, tell us what you're doing on your side.
Hey, Ted. So much like the other folks, we're focused on supporting the sales in an efficient manner as possible. We're using pictures and videos in Xtime that's stored to infinity. We can actually pull those up for the guest. If somebody has questions about the car, they can see it right there. We'll access it. We print it out. We put it as part of the packet with the used car, so they see the inspection. And we're making quick decisions. Our goal is to have a car on the front line within 3 to 5 days, including the detail. We're waiting on a part. We go ahead and get the car detailed and then bring it back in and put the part on. If it's going to be more than 5 or 7 days, we really make a conscious decision. We might hit the eject button and send that car to the auction because we're focusing on capitalizing on the market as quick as possible.
Sean, let me come back to Gino Walsh over at Cavalli Auto Group. Gino, in terms of the 3 to 5 days that Sean is talking about, what are you seeing over at your group?
That's obviously the goal is within 72 hours. It's just like turning your cash into CIT. That's what these vehicles are. They're literally assets. So if you're not getting that car to the front line within 3 to 5 days, you've already probably lost anywhere between $500 to $1,000 after a week. So if you think about it from that timeline, especially on the retail side, your best money is going to be made within the first 30 days. If you lose 25% of that timeline, you're in trouble. Like you have to, not only do you have to be first to market, but you have to be priced correctly to market, and you have to be merchandised properly to market too. By the way, a little shout out to you. You see the little quadrifolio that's right there? That's for our new store, the Alfa Romeo store. 1923, this logo was put on the first Alfa Romeo race car, and that's when they won one of their big races in Italy. So I wanted to throw a little bit of that Roaring 20s in there.
You got that Roaring 20s in there, Gino.
It's got the Roaring 20s, but that's what it's all about. It's about getting that speed to market, right? It's about getting that vehicle, whether the customer is somebody who's sitting in your service department waiting to get their waiter back, or it's somebody who has one of your loaners. This car is the exact same thing, right? Like this is a customer's car in the near future, right? We want to make sure that we get the freshest, cleanest, most reconditioned, properly based upon its price range out to the customer as fast as we possibly can. That's how we're going to attract and attain customers. So we don't have to do the thing like Sean said, is it press the eject button and lose the vehicle. Then we lose the customer as well.
Yep, you're so right. Thank you, Gino. Let me go over to the other Sean Parrott at Mercedes-Benz Farmington. Sean, how about you?
Okay, so I agree with everybody else. We are currently using Xtime for basically your MPIs and your video and pictures walk around. But what we also is we data mine Carfax for service history, because the last thing you want to do is sell a car that has service expected, such as spark plugs, air filters, things like that. We don't catch. But I agree with Gino with the 72 hours. We're just sub 3 days on things, and that's from trade-in to getting out of detail. And the one thing we do is we treat a lot of these vehicles like they're express cars. You know, there's not every vehicle comes through needs a full overhaul. So when we price things in our parts department, we see stuff such as air filters, cabins, things like that, brakes that we know they're going to approve. As soon as they get quoted, we already push the button to get the things ordered. So they're already coming. Hopefully by the time they're being approved, the technician doesn't even have to take the car out of the bay to start working on it. And we try to be very proactive with those things.
And your group is very proactive. We've learned over the last couple fix ops roundtable, Sean, a lot of things that your group does. Lauren Paddock, your dealership, Paddock Chevrolet, sells more Chevrolets than some regions, from what I remember. I remember that big storage lot as I drove by so many times. Tell us, what is your dealership doing in this area?
Yeah, well, can I just say it's very different right now, as I'm sure as everybody's experiencing. So technology kind of runs our whole process. We use Xtime for MPVIs, for photo, video, texting, but we also use a great system called Up Your Gross, and it follows the vehicle from time of acquisition all the way to getting on the lot. As Gino and everybody else has said, it's a depreciating asset from day one. So we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and it's garbage in, garbage out. So our people really know that they know exactly where it is, the process, whether it's photoing, detailing, in service, waiting for a part, all the notes are in Up Your Gross. And now we are actually very lucky to have incorporated the UVEYE system. So that goes, every vehicle that we acquire that goes into our trade-in process that somebody's coming in, even if it's a lease turn-in, because if you're a high lease store like we are, you know that you're acquiring those vehicles. It's much easier than getting them in the auction, which I'm sure we all have experienced. So all of those cars go through the UVEYE system, which then is obviously going to go follow the vehicle when it is our own inventory vehicle, and then when it goes to the customer. So it's just an added layer of technology and in the process that we have and can show the customer, hey, just so you know, this is how your undercarriage looks. This is how the tires did look. Look at the difference now. Look what we did during our recon process. So I think technology really encompasses everything that we do here to make it as efficient and as accurate as possible.
Jim, talk to us a little bit about what Paddock is doing in terms of inspections on UVEYE. You'd be most familiar, with what they've got there. Take us through that a little bit from the UVEYE perspective.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're an amazing partner. Dave, their service manager, is really process focused, as you can tell from Lauren's approach. I mean, they're very focused on process. Every car drives through UVEYE. They're leveraging it with every customer in the service lane. But then on the reconditioning side, I think that use case is really starting to develop. I'm really encouraged by what I hear Lauren talking about in terms of how we can impact that side of it, because we do have a lot of stores that are using it for the appraisal side. So having Paddock as a partner really allows us to have great process around how our technology can impact the trade-in process, speed up potentially what that reconditioning number looks like when you drive it through our system. Gino mentioned something really interesting, and it took me back to my used car days. Are you going to keep it? Is it going to make it or is it not? And like that was always sort of question one. Is this going to be a retail car or something I'm going to put on a truck and send them to the auction? And really the strength of our system is you drive it through our system and you get a full underbody inspection, a full wheel and tire inspection. And if you have Atlas Light, you get a full exterior inspection. So the time it takes now to determine if that's a car I'm keeping and putting on the front line, or I'm putting on a truck and sending it to the auction, or now you've got a lot of virtual auctions. I'm sort of dating myself talking about sending cars to auctions, but now we can help speed up that decision, right? Now you have a lot of inspection data in front of you. You can dial in your recon number. You're not estimating. It might be 1,000, it might be 1,500. You can really look at the inspection results and dial in what your projected recon can look like. So now you're talking about how we may be able to even impact on the cost to market side of it, where you can actually really appraise a car for what it's worth, minus the guesswork and recon. So, Lauren and Dave and everyone at Paddock has really been a great partner in terms of helping us understand, where we can impact throughout the entire process.
Gino, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. Real quick, I want to touch Mark Mickens. You looked at this technology recently when I showed you the video from, I think it was on the After Dark show from UVEYE, and you saw how the vehicle was scanned when it came in on the drive. And I know that beautiful service drive there in Paramus, New Jersey, probably very few like it I've ever seen anywhere in the world. Okay. You've got a state-of-the-art facility, but I could see something like that and how that would work, especially in this case as well.
I said that was gold when I saw that. For us, I mean, our biggest, task has been, the increase of cars coming through the shop to get out on the line. And to echo what everybody else said, we're really held to a standard, on a report card side with Driveway, with Lithia, that is, it's pretty comprehensive and it's accurate and it's comparable to other dealers. So, it's hard, we have to get those cars on the line. They have to be pictured. They have to be on our website in a certain amount of time. And if, a piece of equipment can cut that in half, which it probably can, I think that would be very valuable to any company.
Gino, let me come back to you on your perspective as executive manager there at Cavalli.
I can get rid of another person if I can use that thing. I'll just drive the car right through and connect it to V-Auto, and bam, I'll have an appraised value of it. So no, it sounds like a really an interesting piece of technology that can help make things very efficient.
Yeah. Bill Demery over at Tom Wood. I know you are among the first to look at new technology. On a recent panel, we were talking about some things on tires that your dealership was looking at. Tell us a little bit about this and what you maybe foresee, in the future in terms of being able to look at those vehicles as they come in.
I do love technology. We were pretty quick after NADA. We met with UVEYE here in Indianapolis and had some conversations. We have a unit on order to put in our Lexus store immediately as soon as they can get the product down to us. I just left a collision meeting last week and I chipped it to installing this in a collision center. So UVEYE is coming to market Thursday to look at my 80,000 square foot collision center, because running UVEYE through that just makes all the sense in the world. I think the technology is just going to help just continue to get us better and better and more efficient in what we're doing. I spoke to UVEYE a couple weeks ago at another meeting I was at about technology and a thing called RoboTire. We were on a plane and flew up to Plymouth, Michigan about a week or so ago and was looking at RoboTire. It's a robot that's changing tires, and I was very fortunate because this gentleman happened to be there, and he smiled and said, "Hey, we're talking to UVEYE as well." So it's fun seeing the technology all just kind of coming together, and I think these industries are so talented, talking to each other and looking at the needs that we have on the automotive side and trying to make things more efficient, quicker, and just save us money and time. And if we can get a car through a UVEYE system, which I can't wait to get it installed in my Lexus store, and start turning vehicles through there and having that MRI done. We know we're going to pick up wheels. Wheels get sent out. We're taking all that in-house, all the internal paintwork in-house. So the revenue that it's going to build, you have to look at it as this is not an expense. This is an investment into a much better customer experience as we're taking care of the car in the same building and it never has to leave. So we're excited about UVEYE. We're excited about a lot of different things.
If I may, Bill, let me show a short video in case those in the audience have not seen it, of how the UVEYE system works. And then I'll come back to Lauren with some feedback on that, because I know she's using it. Lauren, we're talking about today vehicle inspection systems on the service drive and how they can be used throughout the dealership. Lauren Paddock from Paddock Chevrolet, I would imagine you've also seen an uptick in tires and alignments that are sold on the service drive.
I just was in a meeting with my dad, Dwayne, and our service department, and he made a comment that we've never sold as many alignments as we have right now. So it's really just one advantage of having this system. I think the most exciting part about UVEYE is it really is just the start. I mean, this is from the dashboard side of it, the reporting side of it, and then obviously the technology part of it. I think it's all just the beginning stages, which is really exciting for us to be, on the kind of the ground floor, seeing what it's going to progress to, because I know that it's going to, even a year and a half from now, I know it's going to look completely different from the machine side of things, but also from the back end side. I as I was watching that video, the photos alone, I mean, the clarity of the photos is something incredible. They're not exaggerating. I mean, you can zoom in, you can see the year of a tire. People have made comments to me that they didn't even know that tires could expire. So it really is an incredible system. And I think that the most exciting part of the system is that it's just the first step. So to see where it's going to go is going to be a really exciting thing to see.
I would agree with you. Jim, if I may come back to you, we've heard today a number of the people on the panel are using and have used a lot of technology that are friends of the Roundtable. Update Promise, as an example, Gino, our very first sponsor at the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and does a magnificent job. Mark, you mentioned My Karma as well. Jim, talk to me a little bit about the benefit of using a system with this computer vision and imagery rather than, let's say, something else.
Yeah, I think that, obviously it's artificial intelligence based, right? So as Lauren said, like we're we've seen a lot of growth just in this last year, but every day it's getting better, it's getting sharper, it's getting crisper and faster because of the artificial intelligence. The computer vision side of it is really cool. You know, a lot of systems use lasers. You know, something can block that view of what it's inspecting. A lot of things can come into play, like tires, for instance. We're actually capturing about 30% of the tire as it passes through, and we're capturing hundreds of data points across every valley. So what that allows us to do is to stay very accurate and very fast in how we deliver those inspection results. So we really feel confident that the computer vision model of inspecting vehicles is sort of the future of vehicle inspections.
And Tom, over at West Her, one thing I didn't know is how this technology actually came into being. Because Tom, I thought that they developed all this technology on the service drive, and then Jim informed me that this was really developed in an entirely different space. If you don't mind, Jim, just share that real quick, then I'll come back to Tom.
Yeah, so our piece of equipment, actually, Lauren has the Helios right in her service lane in both of her lanes. That piece of equipment was developed in the Homeland Security space, essentially to replace the folks you see walking around cars with mirrors looking under the vehicles at security checkpoints. You know, our executive, our co-owners and developers built that technology to be able to replace that person with the mirror and detect security concerns. What they found after running a lot of cars through the system is we were also detecting mechanical issues, potential leaks, broken parts, missing parts, rust, corrosion, you know, handwriting damage. And they decided to position it to an automotive facing company. And here we are.
Tom, I never thought that we'd be talking about, you know, used vehicle and inspections and merchandising by using technology off the service drive. But Tom, it just shows you how far Fixed Ops is coming now in terms of its reach throughout the dealership. Some thoughts, if you don't mind, because you've got a lot of franchises in a lot of stores. You're the biggest automotive group in New York State.
It's very interesting to me to see technology like this come into the business, because if you think about it, we've been doing this the same way forever, right? Customer comes in, we write a repair order, we make notes, it goes back to the technician puts it on the rack, looks at the vehicle, makes a note, goes to there's been really zero changes. In the last few years, you know, you see the influx of electronic multi-points was like the first big thing. You know, I mean, after computer generated ROs, we went from computer generated repair orders to the electronic multi-point. That was like the big gap, and then with not a whole lot of change in there. But to see products like this, I mean, I think about, there are times when we're looking at a trade, again, trying to put a number on that vehicle, and to get a quick look, you know, we have processes set up where we treat it like a waiter. We bring it in, and we have a process to put it in on the shop, you know, get it racked really quick. You know, I could see something like this being a way to eliminate that step.
Yeah, I love it. Lightning round. Let me come back around to the rest of the panel. Thank you, Tom. Gina Walsh, over to you.
The first thing when I watched that video, what just came out to me instantaneously is EV cars. They're gonna have less parts. They're gonna have less things that will go wrong with the vehicle, and to have a tool like that can actually look at the tires, look at the things underneath the vehicle, find, you know, scratches, things, and dents, and kind of manufacture some opportunities for the service lane, especially considering EVs supposedly going to be a little bit less of a cash influx for us. I think this would be an ideal tool for those cars.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gino. Very, very astute. Bill, your thoughts over at Tom Wood?
Yeah, I agree. I think the amount of business we could pick up with UVEYE, not just the inspection part, but the wheels, the tires, the date stamp of that tire was extremely important to me, as we also own a tire store, and we see so many expired tires come through that I promise in the dealership world, we don't see that because we're not really close to that. So this, to pick that type of stuff up, I think it's going to be really a game changer for us all the way around. Not to mention the collision center. I think UVEYE is really need to be open to a blueprinting process that manually that we do in a collision world, that this thing will automatically do for us.
Bill, I'll have to get you with Jim after the panel. Mark, you see a lot of vehicles. You've been a dealership owner, and you know, certainly a great friend of the Roundtable over there on the Lithia side.
I was going to go to put my former dealer hat on and say that I think this is a great tool for trade-ins in the first place. I mean, one thing we always run into is, how did you appraise that car? I mean, it's a hard process, right? You can't bring every appraisal into the shop while you're trying to recon the car, right? But as a former dealer, I've had that conversation, like, honestly, like, who appraised that one? Lauren, you can jump in whenever you want. Somebody's spending your money on that lack of appraisal. So I think there's a real good space for you there too, Jim, as a selling point, because I think that'd be really helpful to a dealer for cost savings and how about buying the wrong car, right?
Right.
I remember asking some of those questions, Mark, during my career. Lauren, I'm going to come to you last, if I may. Sean Butler, over to you at University Auto Group.
Yeah, I agree with the other folks. It could really shorten up the inspection time if you could use this tool. We have, we do a 1 hour thorough inspection with the road test and putting it in the air on every single vehicle. One thing that struck me as odd, I wouldn't have never thought this is that I was studying 26 car dealerships. The ones that spend the most money on recon also have the highest gross. Caught me off guard when I saw those numbers. So this would help you spot all. If you don't have to apologize for it, you can ask all the money, right?
That's a great point, Sean Butler. That's real strong. Sean Parrott, over to you.
Couldn't agree with Mark more about inspecting the vehicles. Like, we see a lot of vehicles on our fixed side that I don't know if they look at these vehicles on a trade-in outside in the dark with sunglasses on, because it seems like they miss tires, everything, dents, cracks. So if you could bring a vehicle in here and run it through the service drive real fast to check for leaks and other things that a used car manager or a pre-owned manager is not going to inspect outside for leaks and things like that until they trade off. I think it works great. Like I said, run the car through, you have it right there, you have the data, you have the information to show the customer as this is why we're giving you the value for your trade that we are.
Love it. Lauren Paddock, some obviously big dealer groups here today on the panel, looking at some technology that you've already got at your dealership. Some closing comments from you.
Yeah, I mean, people have talked about time and efficiency, and it certainly is all of that. But for us, how we're using it now, it's just an added layer. What I don't want to see happen is that my technicians or my used car managers or my appraisers are feeling like they don't have to look at the car more than they already think that. So right now, it definitely is a tool for accountability. We lean on it to make sure that for the things that you can't normally see with the human eye. But it's also one of those things that the technician comes back from their used car check and they say, this looks all good. And we say, oh, really? It does. And then, the tires are low, or, the alignment's off. So, we use it as almost like an added employee instead of a replacement. And I think just having that added layer, it's a very efficient employee. But right now, it's to support the team that's already there, as an added layer in our process.
Love it. Very well put, Lauren. Jim, bring us home. Some closing thoughts, and if people want to get a hold of you and learn a little bit more about what UVEYE has.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, unbelievably smart points across the panel. As Lauren just mentioned, it's really about enhancing people who are in those important positions, right? The used car manager, the service advisor, even on the technician side. I spent last week in Vegas training about 1,300 General Motors field reps because General Motors just invested significantly in our company and really want to sort of make us a part of their client experience moving forward. And I made sure that I mentioned that in literally every meeting that we had, as this is not to replace anyone in the store, but just to help enhance process, whether it's taking a car in and having all that information, essentially putting a car on a lift in 10 seconds and having an appraisal inspection of sorts to be able to utilize when you value that car, or in the service lane. We're making the advisors aware of those issues so they can talk about them early versus the historic process of pulling it in, getting it in the back, letting the technician find out what's going on, and then letting the customer know later in the process. So, it's really to help enhance everything that you guys are already doing really well in the dealerships. Awesome panel, like I said, amazing points and questions. You can get a hold of me. Obviously, you can see everything scrolling across the bottom there. Jim.b@uvei.com. My phone number is 440-521-2314. That's directly to me. Being a regional sales director, I get the benefit of flying around the country and meet with a lot of great dealers, and I'm looking forward to having some great conversations.
I want to thank this all-star panel. Gino Walsh, thank you on behalf of the Fixed Ops community. Thank you for being here today. Mark Mickens, thank you so much. Tom Drzezinski, thank you so much. Bill Demery, as always, thank you, my friend. Sean Butler, your star continues to rise. Thank you again. Sean Parrott, thank you. We're very much indebted to you. And Lauren Paddock, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we look forward to seeing and hearing more from you. So the all-star panel with Jim Bayline at UVEYE here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.